Hello, thank you for watching this video. This is Yoshiki Fujiwara, work as an infrastructure engineer in Tokyo, Japan. Let me make a presentation for this title, Entering Cloud Native World from the Story, CNCF Cloud Native Landscape Edition. I actually made this presentation in this event, Cloud Native Days Spring 2021 online on March 12th, and I translated into English like this in this slide. So hopefully it works for the collaboration between Japanese and English speakers and also helpful for the people who entering cloud native world from now on. So this one is for listed what I'll talk about and what I will not talk about. I will not talk about in this session the technical details and practical content. So, the expected listeners for these sessions, those who are interested in Cloud Native World Horizon, and those who can enter the Cloud Native world from now on, and those who are confused about choosing a session in the Cloud Native event like this, the CNDO or CNCF events. I hope it works as the search the your interested area and connect that one. So the goals for these sessions, so you can map the areas of your interest to the activities of the CNCF and for you to become familiar with the cloud native world. Let me introduce myself shortly. I'm Yoshiki Fujiwara, work in cloud division and engineer mentor room in my company. And before IT industry, I worked as a sales person for physical container in logistic industry and so on. And now I work for a logistical container for cloud native contexts. Yeah, I lived in Athens, Greece, and have national Toga license, blah 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 blah. So, and I'm I'm conducting some community activities in Japan. I'm a member of some communities events, and I'm collecting blogs and publishing my comments as a tech blog weekly for these themes, SRE, DevOps, and Kubernetes nowadays. So let's get started from the cloud native story. In 2014, Google open sourced an internal project called Borg that they had been using to orchestrate containers. Not having a place to land the project, Google partnered with the Linux Foundation to create the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, CNCF, which would encourage the development and collaboration of Kubernetes and other cloud native solutions. Borg implementation was written in Go, renamed to Kubernetes and donated as the Incepting project. It became clear early on that Kubernetes was just the beginning and that a swarm of new projects will join the CNCF, extending the functionality of Kubernetes. Cited from the Beginner's Guide to the CNCF Landscape, the history of the CNCF. Thus, a new era has begun. The world is truly in the cloud native era. So I just wanted to say this phrase, cloud native era, regarding cloud native, which is treated like a buzzword in the streets. I focused on the event that started it as a prologue in the form of of a story. From now on, I will focus on the CNCF that has just appeared in the context of cloud native. What is cloud native? So, and who defines it? CNCF TOC, Technical Oversight Committee, defines it. CNCF is a community under the Linux Foundation. The Linux Foundation operates multiple communities, each of which has a hosted project, and multiple communities will appear in this session too. And I recommend this slide, CNCF issues, CNCF overview 2021. Most of contents I will explain included there, and the well-cited materials such as a brief history of the cloud. And I also pick up one material in next page too. And How CNCF structure organized? It's mainly organized from this TOC and governing board and end user community and belongs. So the TOC consists of 11 to technical architects and collaborated with the neighboring organization. What is TOC's role? It admits and oversees all projects in the CNCF Foundation and has a mandate to facilitate driving neutral consensus for this, for conducting and controlling the projects along with the GB and end user committee and aligned interfaces to components under management and defining common practices to be implemented across CNCF projects, if any, as they works. So, and what are the principles of TOC? Actually, I'll explain in detail later. They have election system, and the member will be shuffled. So they have the principle for keeping their sway. And I pick one. It's very important and easy to understand the stance of the CNCF and the TOC. So the one is no kingmakers and one size does not fit all. So one, no kingmakers, and two, no one stack. So this means that the CNCF is not promoting a single and monolithic stack of technologies. So the no kingmakers and one size does not fit all principle allows end users to choose from many different organizational sizes, use cases, and needs. And where is the cloud native definition? So it allocated in GitHub repo, and you can see this link. It's approved by TOC version 1.0 in this date, and there has a lot of versions of this one. For Japanese, it's easy. Of course, it's easy Japanese one. So let's take a look for the cloud native definition. I divided three parts for this explain one by one. With this image, I just picked it up by myself and from website it's free source and good for easy reference for that. It's easy to imagine the image of these each sources. So the first part is cloud native technologies empower organizations to build and run scalable applications in modern dynamic environments such as public, private, and hybrid clouds. Containers, service meshes, microservices, immutable infrastructure, and declarative APIs exemplify this approach. And these techniques enable loosely coupled systems that are resilient, manageable, and observable. Combined with robust automation, they allow engineers to make high impact changes frequently and predictably with minimal toil. So this one first. Second part stress the engineers, focus on engineers for their second part. And third and last part. The Cloud Native Computing Foundation (CNCF) seeks to drive adoption of this paradigm by fostering and sustaining an ecosystem of open source, vendor neutral projects. We democratize state-of-the-art patterns to make these innovations accessible for everyone. So, but actually, I think it shows the stance of the CNCF and TOC for their community and outside the community too. So there's three parts I divided and so long. So can we describe cloud native shortly? I tried to describe the cloud native shortly, and that time I pick up the article originally written in Japanese, and I cite this time with asking the guy actually who speak this article, and it's okay to translate. In English, I translate it like this. So I will describe it shortly now. So the cloud native is a wording of best practices when using the cloud. And the theme is how to make scalable applications. So for me, it's very uh, easy to understand, and I can make it workable for my working place with these two phrases. So how do we implement actually cloud native as engineer with these phrases? So and from what should we start for cloud native? Because there is a huge number of keywords, so hard to just catch up on updates. And like this right hand side image, I feel like I'm on an endless journey. That moment I found that CNCF has prepared cloud native landscape as a map, and I thought it will be very helpful. I made this presentation in the center of this cloud native landscape. So what is the cloud native landscape? Um, the, the CNCF Cloud Native Landscape project is intended as a map through the previously uncharted terrain of cloud native technologies. This attempts to categorize most of the projects and products offering in the cloud native space. You can see the phrases in this GitHub link. I just picked up these phrases from the definition and GitHub page. And there are many routes to deploying a cloud native application with CNCF projects representing a particularly well traveled path written here. So this landscape mention shows the well traveled path. Of course, if you have specific needs or requirements, you can take another way or another path, your own original path. It's just well-traveled path showed in this cloudy landscape. It's not you not need to obey or comply with this path, of course. And it has built in collaboration with these organizations. And this cloud native landscape is organized in this hierarchy structure in GitHub page. And I will pick up these two very useful and practical resources. The first one, Trail Map. It provides an overview for enterprises starting their cloud native journey, and you can check well-traveled steps with CNCF hosting project as a reference. Like this, it has steps 1 to 10, and along with steps, you can see CNCF project aligned. So you can take these steps if you like, and if do not fits your way, of course, you can take another steps too. Of course, you can compare and refer these steps for your project and organization to apply cloud native. So, and the second one, interactive version. Sometimes people mention this interactive version as a cloud native landscape itself because it's very useful. So you can sort projects and other keys by various conditions, such as CNCF relation and license in this interactive version. Let me do a quick demo on my display because it's easier to understand this interactive version by the demo. You can use these four categories. CNCF relation, for example, for this landscape, there's a CNCF projects. If you put this, you can see the graduated incubating projects and sandbox project depends on the maturity level. You can pick and show which you can adaptable, and you can see how many people use it, how many stars, where is the repository, and many information. For example, VDS, Kubernetes, like this. So as for information, Kubernetes have the IO page, and you can contribute for your local language if you have for like this. For me, Japanese, I contribute for the localization documentation for a little bit. Okay, and so as you can see, this landscape include not CNCF projects too, and CNCF member projects and products, or even the proprietary commercial projects included here, like the style, CNCF, and non-CNCF member product and projects. So the and for licenses, there's no open source categories there. So I mean, like it's gray out. So the proprietary commercial things even included for this interactive version, like certified Kubernetes hosted, AWS EKS, GK, Google Cloud GKE, and Azure AKS, such kind of things included as the not open source category in this landscape too. And you can see also other Apache license 2.0 open source or other license along with your interests. And there's organization. You can see the organization which the product or project states, and also the location or the organization, so you can see the locality of these product and projects. And there's another information. So the tab there's you can see by card mode easily for the CNCF graduate projects or incubating project or member product projects and so on. And serverless categories there. So you can see the serverless product projects of same things and members. For members, there's a level for platinum, gold, silver, and also end user supporter and non-profit and academic. How many kinds of members join CNCF nowadays? So, and as you can see, there's a vast information and many project and products. It's very hard to understand and check one by one. And so as recommend to read, I recommend this article series for the new stack. There's an introduction and also each articles for each layer for easy reference for this information. So I explain demos, so serverless landscape, and there are also another landscapes. I found at least these two landscapes exist for uh, neighboring project and product, neighboring community or CNCF. First one is a parent Linux Foundation, AI and Data Foundation interactive landscape. Actually, the GitHub repo is the same with the CNCF landscape one, and it's almost similar, same structure. So difference I can see is the no, actually before I found no sandbox, but nowadays it's sandbox incubating graduate same structure for Linux Foundation and Data Foundation interactive landscape too. If you're interested this category, this area, so you can search through this landscape. And also there's another one for CNCF CloudNative Interactive Landscape. Let's see, it's this one. The Continuous Delivery Landscape. Continuous Delivery Foundation. It's neighboring community with the CNCF. They control and they handles about these kind of projects like Tecton, Spinnaker, Jenkins, and Jenkins X New, and also includes Terraform or other things included in this landscape. It's card mode too. Okay, and let me show the again this as a reference for the CNCF structure for TOC and governing board and end user, because for next page I will explain in some detail with this neighboring organization with TOC. So the CNCF activities and trends. The TOC members, as I mentioned before, have a election system and a 2-year term for themselves. They need to be elected for next one or the first one too as MC as a TOC member. And in February, so the election completed, and you can see this article. February 2nd, welcome to our new 5 new TOC members. At that time, the 3 members are appointed by the GB governing board. The 3 members and 2 new members appointed by the end user board. And outgoing TOC members are these Brandon Barnes and Mark Klein and Sean Lee for this time. And the next one I would like to recommend is the technical radar. So what is technical sensitive end user technical technology later? That one is this as show this I picked up from the page. Technical radar is an opinionated guide to a set of emerging technologies. Watched the video for the explanation of technology radar. So it explained so end users, the members cannot show in detail about what they use and what product is useful their working place actually because it for the compliance many reasons. So the anonymous style they can check some information which is useful for other end users and community members, and that style shows the level for the products of each category. Well, nowadays have the at this moment at this stage they have the full radars, and this one newest one is the security management chart. In security management in January, it's I picked up the one for adapt and trial and access level are there. For example, this is HashiCorp Vault is the adapt level and the trial for these products and access for these products. It's very useful, and I recommend to watch the YouTube video for the Radar team and Sharihan explain the detail about each radar and the purpose and trends for each one. And another one, I picked up a presentation of KubeCon plus CloudNative NA 2020. It's one for the 5 technologies to watch in 2021 by TOC chair Liz Rice. I picked up these 5: chaos engineering, Kubernetes 8, service mesh, WASM, and eBPF, and developer and operator experience. I think the fifth one point is the focus on technology is the focus of technology rather than technology itself, I think. And the collocated events of KubeCon plus Cloud Native Con EU 2021 in May are almost in line with these categories, and plus also AI and other things, now trend things like Rust or other things. I think it included. If you're not registered KubeCon EU, I suggest to register as soon as possible. Yeah, very good. So as epilogue, let me summarize what I talk about and other things. So what is cloud native? This defines it. I described shortly at this stage. Cloud native is a warning of best practice when using the cloud. And what is cloud native landscape? As a map through the previously uncharted terrain of cloud native technologies. and I pick up a trail map in interactive version. Actually, there are various landscapes. So as I told, Linux Foundation, AI Data Foundation, interactive landscape, and continuous delivery landscape exists at least. And CNCF activities and trends. So the TOC members election, CNCF end user technology radar, and five technologies watching in 2021 are introduced. So the goals for these sessions, you can map the areas of your interest to activities of the CNCF and for you to become familiar with the cloud native world. I set this goal, but how was it? I hope you'll be interested in other CNDO our events and also our other sessions provide any information provided by CNCF. My image is that before this session, I'm feeling like the endless journey or lost in the way. But after that, you get this kind of resource maps. So you can go by yourself or share this map and information but with others. And hopefully you can get a more materialized, practical, concrete image for the cloud native, and you can find and map with your interests directly. So what next? Join these communities. If you like to join Slack communities, you can register from the below link for Kubernetes and CNCF I picked. And if you are interested in Kubernetes documentation localization, you can contribute in your language. For example, for me, Kubernetes Docs Japan channel in Japanese, we conduct the localization Kubernetes IO website and etc. etc. If it does not exist, then you like to localize, you can make it by your local language too, with your community. And for those who feel a barrier in English, the Slack community has information in, for example, in Japanese and has culture of teaching each other. Don't afraid of. Please enter with confidence. For Kubernetes, Japanese one, for example, JP events and etc. If don't exist, you can make it as well. And follow the person or organization that is sending the information. Twitter, CNCF, CNCF project, maintenance of each project, etc. For Japanese, have the CNDO events, and of course, your area should have some kind of events. If not, again, sorry, again, you can make it by yourself if you like. And people get even other areas. So it's helpful for getting some advice and help. Okay, and this one, I just mentioned about I writing blog again, and hope to see you there. So finally, uh, what is CNCF? I picked this presentation. Priyanka Sharma, general manager of the CNCF keynote in the Cloud Native Con Plus, KubeCon plus Cloud Native Con EU 2020, and I love this presentation so much. So I picked it up and some phrases. What is CNCF? The lead of end user driven open source. Every contribution has value, and his foundation is very positive and foundation doers, builders, architects, and enablers. And also you have each contribution has value. So they should pick it up as the many positions, not only programming and program management, programming writing, also documentation writer, also student or learner is a contributor. So you can contribute even you can just learning from CNCF and give some feedback or um, gets knowledge for the cloud native things. And finally, if you like, if you forgive your time, you can contribute to the CNCF project in other style, other shape too, for the writing documentation or joining the community event or many other things. Hopefully see you soon in there. Thank you for joining this presentation. This is Yoshiki Fujiwara, and hopefully after COVID-19, see in person, but we don't need to wait for that thing. So I hope you can contact me in Twitter or other ways too. See you soon. Bye now.